I'm getting ready to make a rear section of a covered wagon from the old west. First, I'm going to make an axle and some other bottom pieces with these two 4x12 pieces of lumber. I got to speed through this because we're so short on time. We have to finish and deliver this pretty quickly, so I'm not going to be able to film every step on this. I ripped the wood into different pieces for the axles and stuff. And then the next thing is I ran the board through the table saw a bunch of times to cut a groove for a steel axle to slide into place. I can just bolt it in. That's going to go through the actual wheels. Then the next thing I did was I'm drawing out the shape of a basic wagon axle, and I took a circular saw and cut my two angles. I'm using this disc sander with a 36 grit sanding disc to round over all the corners of all my pieces of wood. Alright, so on this wagon for the axle, this slot that I created right there, I just put the pipe in there for spacing issues, and then I cut this little piece of wood and I'm going to basically just glue and shoot it back into place. And then what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to slide the axle in and out when you're not using it, or for transport and stuff. But then that way it locks that bottom back together and it creates a nice strong 4x4 or whatever your axle size is. Since there's not going to be a lot of weight in the wagon, it's just a prop, I went ahead and used some 3/4 EMT electrical conduit, and then I drilled some holes in there so that I could run some long screws going through the pipe into the wheels. Then I capped the holes on the wheels with just some little square cut pieces of cedar. I know I kind of skipped ahead here on the wagon, but here is the top box. It's actually upside down. That is the back, and I want it to basically appear like it's cutting off into the wall, so it ends here about 4 feet. What I did is I glued and screwed all my seams together, and then I used these cross beams to lock in all these boards. I'm going to flip it back over and mount it to this bottom piece. I have this just temporarily there for support, but I have put all my axle pieces together. There was one more piece that I was hoping to make, but I'm going to see if I can get away without making it. And then there's obviously some metal accents and some U-bolts and things like that that I was going to add. I'm going to go back and try to see if I can add all that stuff after I've finished instead of trying to do it as I'm doing this. Same thing with on the side here. I was going to have some flat stock and stuff like that, but I think for now, just because I'm trying to get it done, I'm just going to get some rounded pieces of wood and put like their little supports and stuff, and try to do as much as I can of the wood, and then if I got time I'll go back and add some more details and stuff. So yeah, let's get this together. So on here, to do these pieces together, I put some screws from underneath here into the top piece, and then that groove that I dug into here, that's right here where the axle goes in, I just screwed up from the inside of that before I put the axle into place. So I got that all glued and locked together right there. And again, these were meant to have holes for some U-bolts that go around there just to give it that extra decorative thing. And then for the wagon piece, there was, in real life, there's like another little raised U section of wood, but I feel like this can support the fake wagon that I'm making, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stick it right on top of here. Originally we had planned on making the wheels, but I ended up purchasing them to save time, so I'll post links to where we got them in the description below. We purchased 2 different sizes, 2 of the larger 4-foot ones for the wagon, and then we got one 3-foot one for the obstacle, and we cut that in half. And the nice thing was there was seams in the wood, so all we had to do was take those 2 nuts off and then use a cutoff wheel and a grinder to cut the outside ring. Alright, so we got the wheels all cut in half. We ended up using a circular saw to cut both sides, and then we used a sawzall to do the middle couple inches. We've got the 2 outsides all cut. I just glued these rings back into place after we cut them with the grinder. Just use great stuff. Tape them in place, and once that dries, that should be good. Now the next step onto this is to weld a bracket on each side so that there's a way to mount it to the floor. And what's going to be cool is, as an obstacle, they can either put the ball through here or try to avoid the whole thing altogether. So I'm going to do that now, weld these, and these will be done. They'll be ready for paint. Gino will just use like a watered down brown to age them up a little bit. All of the original plans of making like an overhead arch cover portion and adding all the metal hardware and accents ended up just getting scrapped so that we could work on other props for the project. I still love the way that this turned out, but it is always a challenge for us to let things go when we just want to add all those extra details that we have in our head. If you're new to this channel and you enjoy watching a little prop making, be sure to hit the subscribe and check out the rest of our channel. As always, we'd like to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.